If you saw the title and the thumbnail, you already know what this video is, and I very heavily debated not making it because going into this book I had already seen spoilers, and I don't want to be the person that could put people at risk of spoilers. But by the time this video is going up, it will have been like at least some amount of time since the book came out. It'll give people time to read it and then can watch this. This is going to be a Crescent City 3 full reading vlog, and when I say full reading vlog, I mean we're talking theories, we're talking full spoilers, my reactions to the book, my thoughts and opinions on the book, as well as the process of me getting the book, which I'm filming this after, but this was, oh my gosh, was a little bit ridiculous and kind of funny looking back now, but I did include that in here as well. And I'm going to go ahead and say the disclaimer. This is going to be full spoilers. If you have not read the entire Sarah J. Maas universe, including Crescent City 3, do not watch this video. I don't want anyone to get spoiled, so please, 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 whatever you're doing, do not watch this video. If you don't want to get spoiled, or if you haven't already read the books, I'm saying it, I'm making it very clear, this will have spoilers in it. If you're interested in hearing my thoughts and opinions on the book and you don't want spoilers, you can check out my January reading wrap up, because I did talk about what I rated this, just generally what I thought of it and my opinion on it without giving any spoilers. So if you do want to know what I thought about it, you can see that in my January reading wrap up. But in this video, I will be talking in depth right off the bat even about my theories. Last thing I do want to say before I jump into this video is that it's kind of broken down into sections. So the very beginning is me getting ready to go pick up the book, but I'm also discussing like things I'm worried about, theories I have, kind of that type of thing. And then the second section is me trying to get the book and the craziness of all of that, and then we actually jump into the reading vlog. So if all you want to see is the reading vlog and you don't care about hearing what my theories or ideas were going into it, or seeing me trying to get my hands on this book, then I'll try to put the timestamps up here if I can find them. If I can't get that figured out, you may just have to skip ahead. But yeah, just wanted to say that in case people weren't necessarily interested in watching anything before I actually started reading it. This was definitely a journey, and I share all my thoughts in this video, so I hope you guys enjoy watching. It is currently like 7 a.m. I'm going to pick up my copy of House of Flame and Shadow at 8 a.m. I had originally pre-ordered it on Amazon, and then I saw that it wasn't going to get here until like a day late or something. So I looked around to see if any bookstores near me were doing a midnight release party or anything, but they weren't doing that. But they did have pre-register, and basically it was like you pre-order and then you can pick it up at 8 a.m. on the day it comes out. I am going to try and get there a little bit before 8, just on the off chance that they start handing them out early. And I also don't know how busy it's going to be. For the midnight release of Iron Flame that they did, it was absolutely packed, but obviously this isn't an event, it's just an early pickup. Also, a lot of people have somehow managed to get their hands on the book way early. Like, I've seen people on TikTok that have already finished the book, which is really frustrating. I've actually already gotten spoiled for 2 things that seem pretty minor, and I've also seen other things that I'm not sure if it's a genuine spoiler for the book or if it's still just people's speculation. Basically been avoiding TikTok the best I can because I really don't want to get spoiled. I haven't even read the prologue and first chapter, I think is what Sarah J. Maas put out early on her website. I want to go in with as little knowledge as possible. Obviously lots of people have had their theories. I've been waiting since the second book came out. I read it in 2022, so this is huge for me. I will say the other thing I've seen on TikTok, which I kind of did do this to myself, I did watch spoiler-free reviews, although even though when people say spoiler-free, I feel like they still kind of give things away, because I've been seeing a lot of people saying like some of the theories are right, some are wrong, there's gonna be some things that upset people. And yeah, that kind of bummed me out, which once again, kind of my own fault for watching those videos since I didn't want to know literally anything. But I'm just gonna try and go into it with a very neutral mindset. There's obviously things that I want to see happen, there's things I don't want to see happen, but at the end of the day, there's literally a million possibilities. So I'm trying to just be happy with literally whatever happens. Nothing I'm saying is making sense right now. I'm still delusional because I literally just woke up. Basically, let's talk game plan for the day and for reading the book. Like I said, picking it up at 8 a.m. I have to come back here. I have class till 10:45, and I'll probably get back home around 11-ish. in which I plan to start immediately reading the book. Now, I will say I'm just gonna let myself go at whatever pace feels right for this book. When I read House of Sky and Breath the day it was released, I literally finished it in 24 hours, if not 24 hours. I like pulled an all-nighter to then keep reading it the next day. So I basically finished it all in one sitting. I do just want to read it at my own pace and not try to force myself to finish it as quickly as possible or to sit down and completely like binge it all at once. I'm just gonna see how I feel about it, see what happens. But with this one, we don't know the next time we're gonna get another Sarah J. Maas book. So I really want to take my time to savor this book, enjoy the story. If I want to take a break, I'll take a break. If I finish it in 24 hours, great. If it takes me a week, also great. One more thing to talk about. And if you already saw at the beginning of the video, I said this is gonna be full spoilers. And I'm warning you right now, I'm about to say the first few things in spoiler-y territory for Crescent City and SJM universe in general. So if you have not read the entire ACOTAR series, the entire Throne of Glass series, and every Crescent City book to date, currently this isn't going to be spoiling the newest Crescent City book because obviously you haven't read it yet. But anything else, there is about to be spoilers. So get off this video in 3, 2, 1. Obviously, if you're still here, we all know how Crescent City 2 ended. And personally, I am an ACOTAR girl through and through. I mean, I love everything SJM writes, but ACOTAR is what got me back into reading. I will take no criticism for that series. So obviously, when the characters came into play at the end of Crescent City 2, I was freaking out. I'm really interested to see where they take this. I've been seeing a lot of theories regarding romantic relationships between Bryce and characters, namely Azriel and Perithian, and I do not like those theories, but also I'm trying to keep an open mind because you never know with Sarah J. Maas. But the character I am the most excited but nervous about to revisit is Rhysand. I love him, obviously, obsessed with him. But in A Court of Silver Flames, we're obviously in Nesta's POV and we kind of see him in a different light. And I'm just praying that in Bryce's POV, she doesn't dislike him because I hate seeing him be viewed in a negative way. I'm also interested to see if any Throne of Glass comes into play. Part of me really wants that to tie in. Part of me is like, let my girl Aelin rest. Personally, my current theory is that if they do come into play in the story, it's not going to be in a significant enough way that they become like major characters in the Crescent City world. Maybe they're just like cameos of them. I feel like where we just combined ACOTAR into the mix of Crescent City, I don't know that SJM would just throw in Throne of Glass right away. But once again, who knows? Her mind works in crazy ways. And I'm excited to be back with all my favorite characters from Crescent City, all my favorite characters from ACOTAR. I am very nervous about what's going on with Hunt and Rune. I've been seeing a lot of theories on TikTok that Hunt's gonna be evil, and I don't know that SJM would do that, but once again, who knows? Who knows what she's gonna do? I'm gonna stop rambling, finish getting ready, and then I'll see you guys when I'm on my way to the bookstore. I'm currently on my way, and my heart is beating out of my chest. I don't even know why I'm nervous. It's not like I'm gonna start the book as soon as I get it. Like, I literally won't be able to start it till 11. One reason I'm feeling nervous about it is obviously that I have seen so many TikToks of people saying they're disappointed by this book, but also because, like I said a minute ago, I finished House of Sky and Breath literally the day it came out, and that was almost 2 full years ago, and I have not picked up either Crescent City book since then. Like, I didn't do a reread, I didn't watch like those recap videos that are on YouTube, which I probably should have done because I was confused enough reading the first 2 Crescent City books. I'm just scared that I'm gonna have no clue what's going on. I will say I'm like constantly watching theory videos for the entire SJM universe, and I feel like a lot of those theory videos will go into like background and bring up details to back up the theories, and I've seen enough of them that I do feel like that helps me remember things about the plot. I definitely should have at least watched one of the recap type videos going into it, but I didn't. I'm literally being so dramatic about this for no reason, but if you're watching this video, you're probably also an SJM fan, and I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. Currently in practically standstill traffic, which is awesome. I literally don't know why I act like the world will end if I don't get this book right at 8 a.m. I'm sure they're still gonna be handing them out. And I do have like my name down. Like there is a book there for me. Good news is I made it before 8 o'clock. Bad news is there's like a total of 6 cars in this parking lot right now. I'm a little freaked out. I will say I looked up the store's hours and it says they don't open till 10 a.m. but my confirmation email said pick the book up at 8 a.m. I do see 2 girls like standing outside of the front doors, kind of like peeking in. So I'm wondering if it's not quite 8 yet. They just haven't opened the doors. Fingers crossed that I didn't like get the times completely messed up. So I just got out of the car to go up to the front doors. And I saw these 2 girls walking back from the front doors. And I was like, excuse me, like, are you guys here to get Crescent City 3? And they're like, yeah, and there's no one in there. And then they agreed with me that the confirmation email had said 8 o'clock, but they said the gate's down, the doors are locked, lights off. It appears that nobody's in there. I might wait for just a second and see if maybe someone's just running late to get it opened up. Oh, wait. There's like a service truck pulling up to the front doors. So maybe someone's here to unlock it. It's now 8:08. I've tried calling, I DM'd their Instagram account and no luck. I'm about to literally just run over. There's a Target right beside us and they're already open. I'm making a beeline for the book section. I have the book. And I got the one with the bonus chapter. So I have the book, thankfully. I'll just give a brief backstory as to what happened because this was literally madness. So finally I'm sitting there, I'm like, you know, I'm just gonna go to Target and surely they'll have it. Once again, am I being dramatic? Yes. Could I have just waited until after my class to go pick it up when Joseph Beth was open? Yes. But no, I couldn't do that. So went to Target, they did not have it, and there was an open spot next to Sky and Breath. So I'm like, I'm gonna go find someone who works here. And as I'm walking out, the 2 girls that I had met in the parking lot of Joseph Beth were walking into Target, and I was like, oh hey, they don't have it. So I went and found a worker, and I tell her the name of the book, and the first thing she says is, oh yeah, right at 8 a.m. this morning, there was a bunch of people that filed in here and immediately all left with the same book. So I'm like, oh no, they're already out of it. She goes over her intercom thing and says, like, asks about the book. And I hear the guy go, yeah, they're hidden behind the counter. So I guess they like didn't put them all out at first. And she's like, oh, I'll take you back to where they are. They're just being kept behind the counter. And as I'm turning the aisle, the 2 girls who I wish I would have got their names so I could like follow them on Instagram or something. They were so sweet. They're like holding up copies of the book and they're like, we found it. And there was only 3 versions left with the bonus chapter. So we all checked out. I said bye to them. I think they said they're still gonna wait at Joseph Beth and get those copies. It was also hilarious because the worker who helped me when we were checking out, she was like, this is like Harry Potter all over again. Yeah, all the people obsessed with Sarah J. Maas now are the people who were obsessed with Harry Potter growing up. I have the book. I'm so excited. I want to look and see how many pages it is, but I'm scared that I'll like read something on the last page that I don't want to see. Another fun thing I wanted to show you guys before I have to run off to class is that I have some really cute t-shirts that I'm going to be wearing the entire time I'm reading. So the first one and the most fitting for this book is this one I have that says Umbra Mortis, as in Hunt Athlar, obviously. And I love it because it's so subtle. Like, you would not know that this had something to do with the book unless you like knew and saw it and got the reference. I'm probably gonna put this one on first when I get home from class. And I also have one in the same color that is Akatar. The front in very like faded text is all the names of the Inner Circle members. And then the back says the Inner Circle. And then last, I'm only gonna put this one on if Throne of Glass characters show up in this book. But it is just this one with a quote from Aylin. All those t-shirts I just showed are from a small online business called MC Studios, and I actually have a code for them. You can use Emma15, and I'll link the website in the description box. They release the cutest things, all SJM stuff, other bookish stuff, Harry Potter, Marvel, like basically any fandom you could think of. And like I said, I love them because they're so subtle. I wear them all the time. I have like tons of other stuff from there, so definitely go check them out and use my code Emma15 if you're interested. I'm home now. I have the book. I'm actually gonna take the dust jacket off just because I don't want to mess it up. I'm gonna try and make it a big chunk in before taking a break. I've got my Stanley and I'm like nervous but excited. Also, before I even jump into the prologue, I just want to re-clarify that this is going to be full spoilers. I'm gonna give my thoughts as I'm going, theories I have in my brain, whether they're right or wrong. Full spoiler vlog ahead. If you haven't read this book yet, do not watch this. And if you're my mother watching this and you haven't finished the book yet, get off the video right now. Something my mom likes to do is spoil books for herself, and I finally convinced her to get into the world of Sarah J Maas, and she likes to know spoilers. So if you're my mother and you're seeing this right now, I'm telling you to get off, finish the book, and then you're allowed to watch my video. I'm literally only on page 2, but we're starting off in Lydia's POV, which I think is pretty interesting. In the last book we didn't get that much about her, but was loving her and Rune, but I have a feeling she's probably going to be pretty significant in this story if we're starting right off the bat in her point of view, and it's picking up literally 2 days after the end of Sky and Breath. I'm about to start crying. I'm literally just past the prologue, but seeing Rhysand's name on the page again, I literally just read one sentence and I want to start crying. This is, oh my god. Okay, that's literally all. I have no updates except for that I'm already emotional. So I'm currently on page 26, and it's actually pretty serious what's going on, but I'm kind of cracking up because Bryce is telling Azriel and Rhys and Amren about guns for the first time, and they're so shocked by it that it's kind of funny to me, because there've been so many TikToks about how will the inner circle, or if the TOG characters get brought in, how will they react to guns, because they don't know anything about that. And I don't know, it's kind of cracking me up imagining their faces when they find out what guns are. I just got to chapter 4, and it's the first chapter we've gotten in Hunt's point of view, and I'm not ready for it because I feel like it's just going to be absolutely heartbreaking. I'm now on page 134, and I'm loving the dynamic between Bryce and Nesta. They're so perfect together, and I feel like they'll end up being friends. But I'm not loving the dynamic between Bryce and Azriel. I low-key feel like it's flirting going on. It could just be the connection between his knife and her sword, but I don't know. I'm not loving it, and I've seen all those theories on the internet, and I do not support them. So I'm hoping that's all it is and there's nothing more to it. But right now they're trapped in these caves that are under the Night Court, I think, that they didn't know about. Update time. I'm on 172. I feel like I've read so much, but it looks like I barely put a dent in it. I had to make a coffee because I was starting to get a little tired, and I'm really loving it right now, so I want to keep pushing through. So far, it's definitely different than what I expected, but I'm really liking it. It's kind of reminding me of the way that Crescent City 2 was written, where it's constantly jumping perspectives, but it changes them so often that I never really get bored. When I was reading Crescent City 2, I sometimes got bored in certain people's POVs because it felt like it went on for pages and pages. But in this, there's multiple POVs per chapter. And the funniest thing, it's such a small thing, it has nothing really to do with the bigger plot. Basically, it's the part where Azriel, Bryce, and Nesta are in the caves, and they're we don't know if we can trust you to winnow us across, and then she does it, and Nesta agrees to give her cell phone back if she winnows them across. And it says, as they walked, Nesta said, "When we stop again, can you show me how that contraption works?" The phone, the words couldn't be translated into their language, and it sounded outright silly in their accent, but Nesta nodded, her eyes fixed on the tunnel ahead. Trying to figure out what it does has been driving us all crazy, and I don't know why, but just picturing the entire inner circle standing over a cell phone trying to figure out how it works is cracking me up. And I'm loving all the references of everyone in Prythian being confused about Bryce's world and vice versa. I know some things are obviously going to lead to bigger plot points, but even just those small little things to do with technology, I love it. It's adding so much. Also, Lydia and Rune are literally breaking my heart. He's so mad at her right now, but reading from her POV, you can see how much she wants to help him and how heartbroken she is. So I really hope where I'm at, she's trying to break them out, or is coming up with a plan to break them out. So I hope that works out successfully and that Rune forgives her. Oh my god, so where I'm at, they're still in these tunnels. They've ended up in the prison. It's Bryce, Nesta, and Azriel. and there's a statue of a woman that Bryce recognizes, and then Azriel says she looks like Reese's sister. And there's been a lot of theories on the internet about how Reese's sister might be connected into all of this. I have a feeling I'm about to learn a lot more, but I just think that's so interesting that we might finally be finding something out. I'm gonna cry. Okay, so right now it's like big info dumping. We're basically getting the entire backstory of how people from Prythian ended up in Midgard and how the Asteri and the Daglan are the same. And they're talking about how the Prythian Fae were already in Midgard. And then it says, we're still waging war when more Fae appeared from another world this time. Tall, beautiful beings entered. And then it's explaining other stuff. And then it says they were Fae, like us, but not. Their ears, the grace, the strength were identical, but they were shapeshifters, all of them, each capable of turning into an animal, and each, even in their humanoid body, equipped with elongated canine teeth. That is the Throne of Glass Fae. That is the Throne of Glass Fae. I'm going to lose my mind. I have like chills right now. This is wild. My now current theory is that the Asteri, Daglan, and Valg are all the same group of people. So they're called Valg in Throne of Glass, they're called Daglan in A Court of Thorns and Roses, and they're called Asteri in Crescent City. But we now know that definitely the Asteri and Daglan are the same. And now that it's kind of explaining that Fae from another realm came through and had been tricked by the Asteri, I'm thinking that it's literally all one and the same. The only thing I'm not understanding is that there's never really a mention in any of the Throne of Glass books about Fae traveling to another land, and there's been a lot of talk that Throne of Glass takes place on another world in an earlier time, while Crescent City and A Court of Thorns and Roses take place in two different worlds at the same time. But now I'm wondering if Throne of Glass is still taking place at the same time, and that's why we never know about this, because it's happening after the end of Kingdom of Ash, or it could have been like way before, and there was no mention of it. But it's been a long time since I read Throne of Glass, so I don't really remember a lot of details, but that is confusing me a little bit. So I just learned that Rhys is descended from Thea's bloodline, and so are Bryce and Rune, which explains why Rune and Rhys look basically identical. This whole like backstory explanation has been going on for pages and pages and pages, and it keeps getting more shocking. Oh my god, okay, so I'm at the start of chapter 27, and Nesta just somehow managed to kill an Asteri, which up until this point we thought they were unkillable, but something about Nesta's silver fire, I think, if I'm understanding correctly, was able to kill an Asteri, but the Truth Teller and the Star Sword couldn't. I'm a little confused. I think that's really interesting that Nesta's powers allow her to do that. Officially made it to part 2. At the end of part 1, it made it seem like maybe somehow Bryce was going back to Midgard. It was a little unclear, but if that's the case, I'm really interested to see if like that's all we're gonna see of the ACOTAR characters for the rest of the book, or if they're gonna come back into play somehow. But I've also heard a lot of people say that part 1 is the best part of the book, so I'm really hoping it doesn't go downhill from here. I'm officially on page 270. I'm hoping I can get to like page 400 tonight, and I feel like that'll be a good stopping point for me, and I can read more tomorrow, maybe finish it, or if I get past 400 tonight, that'd be great. But yes, I'm starting part 2 called The Search. I'm liking it so far. Like I said earlier, not really what I expected, but I'm still enjoying it. I also just updated my Goodreads, and I'm officially exactly a third of the way through the book, so I'm assuming it's maybe going to be 3 parts. And I also realized that this is a less than 1,000-page book. For some reason I thought it was around 1,000 pages, but I think it's like 800 something, so I'm actually like farther in than I thought I was. Literally not even a chapter later, and they're saying Rune's gonna die, and I will literally lose my mind if he dies. But I know SJM would literally pull that kind of thing. And then Bryce is back in Midgard, and she landed in her dad's Autumn King's study. So I feel like nothing can go well from where we're at. I don't see how they're gonna get out of this mess, and it's making me really anxious. I'm now on 284, and Ethan has just ran into Jessiba. I'm not really ever sure how you say it, but I know she knows something, and I've thought that since the first Crescent City book, so I'm excited that we're maybe gonna get some more information about what she knows. Lydia died. I'm trying not to cry. I'm so mad. I'm so mad. Rune didn't even ever get to forgive her. What is happening? And I'm only 320 pages into the book, and there's already been a huge significant death, and she was growing on me so much. Like, she was literally one of my favorite characters in this book so far. I'm just trying to process this. Like, in my head, I'm trying to convince myself there's a way to bring her back, because SJM does love to do this, but it seemed like a pretty final death. Lydia is alive now. Maybe. Current update. I don't know how, like, when even the last update I gave on the book was, but this is about how far I'm in chapter 51, about 450 pages in. I'm loving the middle section. I keep seeing a lot of TikToks of people saying that it gets like really boring and overcomplicated in the middle, but I'm really enjoying it, especially the amount of characters that are coming together and the amount of storylines that are coming together. The ACOTAR characters haven't shown back up, but honestly, like, it is a Crescent City book. It's not an ACOTAR book, so I wasn't necessarily expecting them to be like a huge major aspect of the plot, and it doesn't really bother me that it's just the Crescent City characters right now, and I'm really liking the direction the story's going in. I still have a lot left, and I have no predictions for what's gonna happen from here on out, but I'm really liking it. I don't know why it's getting hate on the internet. My mind might change because clearly I have a lot left, but as of now, I'm really enjoying it. I'm going to take a little break from it right now to go shower, eat, kind of get ready for bed, and then I'll probably just lay in bed and read until I get tired. I made it already way farther than I had even hoped to tonight. I'm about on page 450, so I'm maybe gonna try and get like another 100 pages in tonight, and then hopefully I can finish the rest of the book tomorrow. It's now Wednesday morning, the 31st. Sorry I look so crazy. I just had dancing practice this morning from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. and rushed home so I could finish the book. I got to page 600 last night before I went to bed, and I don't remember like the last updates I gave, but after reading like so much more last night and like sleeping on it, I want to share like currently where my thoughts are at, and also like what I read last night, because it got so crazy that I forgot to even like stop and give updates because I just couldn't stop reading. So first of all, ignore my uniforms hanging up to dry behind me. This is the only place I have to hang laundry is on my bed frame. But current thoughts that like I've kind of just been like going over in my head is how everyone on TikTok seems so like upset at this book. I haven't watched like spoiler reviews because I obviously haven't finished the book, and I've been trying my best to avoid them, even though I have gotten some. But I had seen one spoiler that said like everyone's theories about Azriel and Bryce being true mates was true in this book, and that has not happened. Like, ever since part 1, none of the ACOTAR characters have shown back up, but that is also why I'm assuming people are so upset with this book, is that people had the expectation that the ACOTAR characters would play a bigger role. I know I talked about this yesterday, but the more I think about it, the more I'm like confused why people have a problem with that. Obviously, I would have loved for the ACOTAR characters to have a bigger involvement in the book, but they have their own story and their own plot, and that's also an unfinished series, and I feel like if the plot of Crescent City and the plot of ACOTAR become too intertwined too quickly, it's going to be confusing, especially for people who are just reading ACOTAR or just reading Crescent City. Like, I just think about how like not everyone has read every single Sarah J. Maas book, so if she intermixes the plots too much, that just becomes really confusing. And I also think like people are calling it like the Avengers Endgame moment, how she'll bring all 3 series together, but in order for it to be like that, I feel like she can't just make it all happen in one book. I feel like it's gonna take time to progress. So like, I'm not upset at all about the fact that we haven't gotten as much about the ACOTAR characters. I will say, in part 1, when Bryce is in Prythian, I wish we could have gotten a glimpse of Feyre, of Mor, of Cassian, and really mostly just got Azriel and Nesta, and then a little bit of Rhys and a little bit of Amren. But I think it would have been cool to see Bryce interact with the rest of the inner circle. I mean, there's literally like barely even a mention of Feyre, but at the same time, I think it leaves a lot of possibilities open for like the future. Who knows, maybe they'll come back into play in this story. But I think it's a very strong plot on its own without the ACOTAR characters being majorly involved the whole time. So yeah, at this point, I'm really liking it. It's feeling like a 5-star read. Obviously, my thoughts and opinions could change as I finish it, but as of currently, like, I'm just really confused why people are, like, hating on this book. And also, I'm sort of just, like, inferencing that that's why people are upset, because I can't think of any other reason why they would be. I haven't actually watched specific videos to hear why people are upset, but most of the spoiler-free reviews I've seen, people are saying, like, oh, like, lots of people are going to be disappointed reading this. It wasn't my favorite. I didn't enjoy it. Like I said, I'm just confused. But here's what happened last night, ever since, like, my last update I gave. First major thing I learned after the last update is that Apollyon and Thanatos, don't know if I'm saying those right, so don't come at me, created Hunt, which I'd seen a lot of theories that, like, made sense to me about how he could be connected to them. I also love Lydia and Rune together so much. Kind of like them as a couple more than I like Hunt and Bryce. There also has been minimal romance so far in this book, which I feel like that's a major thing people know Sarah J Maas for, but it took until like 500 pages in for there really to be like anything romantic happening, but it honestly doesn't bother me because the plot is so strong. Bryce was also bothering me for a little bit there because she was saying all this stuff hating on Faye, and we know that she's had conflict with the Fae race in Midgard, but like fully hating on them and like saying they deserve to die, like that was kind of icking me out that she was acting like that, but she seems to be doing a little bit better now. They killed the Avalon King and the Autumn King, which was like a crazy moment. The action was great. And I think I said this earlier in the video, but surprisingly, I'm not feeling confused by anything. I felt way more confused by the world building in books 1 and 2 compared to this. Part of it could be that when I read books 1 and 2, it was kind of at the beginning of me getting back into reading, and now it's like 2 years later, but also I think it's just written so well to where it's complex, but everything still makes sense. 2 other little things I want to mention is that I was getting super bored with Ethan's chapters. That was like my only little bone to pick with this book so far, is that the Ethan POVs were like feeling pointless to me, but now he's kind of been brought back into like the main plot with Bryce and the rest of them. And there is one other small thing that I caught. I think it's Adis who tells Hunt, there's like some mention of like the black crown can't hold him, and this is also me like really like looking into the littlest tiniest things, but basically the way the black crown was being described that the Asteri use on their slaves reminded me of the black collars that the Valg use in Throne of Glass. I'm going to try and knock out a bunch more of this. Hopefully I'll finish it today, but I do want to take my time because I'm not ready for it to be over yet. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I'm on page 650. And we thought that Bryce was going to open the Northern Rift to let in the prince's armies. And it says she opened the doors and then she says, "Hello, Nesta." And in the previous Crescent City books, Bryce is always like, you read her plan, but there's always something else going on. So I'm like, how was she communicating with everyone in Prithian this whole time? Like, I'm so excited. I have to keep reading. She asked Nesta to give her the mask. I feel like it's a scary thought to imagine someone other than Nesta wielding the mask, because even Nesta has problems with it, but this could get really interesting. She is offering to give her parents to Nesta as collateral to ensure she'll bring back the mask and Truth Teller, which part of that I'm like, dang, that's really bold, but also it's kind of funny to me that she's just like using her parents kind of as a bargaining chip. So Rune and Lydia are mates. I kind of suspected that this whole time, but I was just waiting for it to happen. But everything is going so crazy right now. I'm on 766. Not ready for this to end, but I cannot stop reading it. It's so good. Also, Bryce and Hunt destroyed one of the Asteri, but like her power is draining. So that's making me really nervous. Right now, my current theory is that Regulus will end up being killed by Ethan with the Godslayer gun. Oh my god, this book basically just confirmed that Lydia is a descendant of Aelin, and I'm losing my mind. I'm crying. I'm at the end of 804 after Bryce sacrificed her life, and Jessica is now trading her life for Bryce. But before Bryce comes back to life, she sees Leheba, Danica, Connor, and oh my god, I'm so emotional. I think I'm really close to the end. Oh my gosh, this part is so cute. So after they defeated the Asteri, Bryce goes to open a portal to get her parents back from Prithian and to hand back over the mask and truth teller, and she says she sees Nesta and Cassian sitting together eating chocolate cake, and then her mom says that Randall and Reese bonded over being overprotective dads, and I think it's just so cute. Like, I love these little moments like this that aren't really essential to the plot, but like it's like things I already love about the characters, and I love seeing like how they interact. It's so cute. Oh my gosh, and this part is like hurting my heart. Basically, it's saying that Ember and Nesta bonded, and Ember is like thanking Nesta for their time together, and it says Nesta pulled her into a tight embrace, and Bryce could have sworn something like pain and longing crossed Nesta's expression, like she hadn't experienced a mom hug for a long time. And now Bryce handed over the star sword to Nesta, and she said, I think that 8-pointed star tattoo is on you for a reason. Take that sword and go figure out why. So I feel like this could lead to something with the next ACOTAR book and having to do with the Dusk Court and like maybe restoring that. I'm not sure, but I also still think it's so interesting that Nesta seems to be the main ACOTAR character that is like important to the plot of Crescent City and the connections between her and Bryce, because we already got Nesta's book and everyone speculates that the next book will be Elaine's book, but I'm almost wondering if we'll get another Nesta book instead, or at least part of it will be in her POV, because so much of this information is being relayed to Nesta, and obviously this is suggesting that there's more to do with Nesta and the connection to the 8-pointed star. I also think that all of the discussion about Nesta and her never having a mother and having a connection with Ember could be potentially some foreshadowing to in the next ACOTAR book, if we will learn more about the Archeron mom and like where she came from and if she was Fae. I know that's a big theory that goes around on the internet, so I wonder, it'd be really interesting if it went down that road for the next ACOTAR book. So I finished it, and I think before I like explain my thoughts, my review, my opinions fully, I'm gonna let myself sit on it, and then once I've processed everything, I'll give my final review and rating. But I got the version with the Rune and Lydia bonus chapter, which I'm so happy about, and they got married, and it was the cutest, sweetest thing, the best way to like end off the book. Only thing I will say right now is that I'm surprised that this book ended on such a happy note, because so many of SJM's books end on a crazy cliffhanger, and there is going to be a 4th book, so I kind of expected there to at least be some aspect of a cliffhanger, but there was none. It was like a very happy ending, but I'm not mad about it. I will come back in a few hours to give more of my thoughts, but it'll be like a 2-second jump if you're watching this video. So it is now many days later. I think actually in the last clip I said I was gonna wait a few hours and then sit on it, come back and give my opinions, but it's actually been multiple days, and part of that is just because I needed longer to process, but also I haven't really had time to sit down and film. But I can say confidently that I've not stopped thinking about this book since I finished it. I think it's almost a full week later. Yeah, and I'm still thinking about it constantly and how much I loved it. I'm gonna go ahead and say it now. This was a 5-star read to me, and I debated, like I really tried to pick this book apart because there were some things that I didn't absolutely love about it. Like I said, sometimes the Ethan POV and also sometimes the Therian POVs like weren't my favorite. I felt a little bit bored, but overall, like this book was just a masterpiece, and I feel like everything she put in here was so intentional, so many details, so many little tiny Easter eggs that connect other things in this plot to each other, that connect this world to her other worlds, and like the most tiniest details that even I've learned were mentioned in Crescent City 1 that connect to Throne of Glass that I never had even noticed before. So yeah, I don't understand how her brain works, but I love her for it and I appreciate her for it, because oh my gosh, this was amazing. Now, I think I talked several times in this video about why I think people are hating on this book so much, and I've watched a ton of more reviews now. I've watched spoiler reviews that other people have given, and that does seem to be the general consensus, is that people are upset that this book wasn't more ACOTAR, and people feel like they marketed it as having a lot more to do with ACOTAR. But like I've said already in this video, I was not let down by that at all, because this is a Crescent City book and the ACOTAR characters get their own books. I was obviously so excited that they were going to be in this book, and I was hopeful that Throne of Glass characters would show up, but at the end of the day, it's still a Crescent City book, so I appreciate it for what it is. The fact that ACOTAR characters showed up was just like an added bonus in my mind, but if we would have had the ACOTAR characters the entire time, the plot would have started to revolve around them more. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I knew, seeing all the marketing that was like hinting at ACOTAR characters, that they were going to be side characters in the Crescent City story. There's already so many characters already in this world that I didn't see how it'd even be possible for her to make the ACOTAR characters very heavily prevalent. And I think I also said this before, there's no way that she could combine all of these worlds all in one book. So I love that we just got a little taste of the worlds overlapping, because I feel like it leaves so many possibilities open for going into future books, and it makes me more excited about future books. I feel like if everything would have happened all at once in this book, and every ACOTAR character and every Throne of Glass character would have been in it, then it's like, where do you go from there, you know? So I appreciate that there was just kind of like a taste of them. I don't understand why people are upset about it, but thankfully I have been seeing more videos of people who kind of have my same opinion, that like it's a Crescent City book, not an ACOTAR book. I also did try to go into it with a very open mind, because you never know what to expect with Sarah J Maas. I really tried not to have too many theories stuck in my head, and there's so many theories out there on the internet now that would be impossible for everyone's theories to come true. And Sarah J Maas does not watch TikToks. She said that in interviews before, so she has no clue what our theories or expectations are, and I think that just makes it better because she's not being swayed. Everything is genuinely just coming from her brain, and there's so many aspects of even this story that she has said in an interview she's had in the back of her mind like for years and years and years. I absolutely loved it. Honestly, this might be my favorite Crescent City book. Obviously, I loved the ending of Crescent City 2. That was shocking. Like, I had the most visceral reaction to that. This one, I didn't have as many moments where I mean, I felt shocked a lot and blown away, but there weren't really as many moments like that because we knew the ACOTAR characters would be in play in this plot. Overall, I just think the writing and the pacing was the best in this book compared to the other Crescent City books, and I didn't mind that it was broken up into the 3 parts. I still felt like it flowed very well. We got just enough of each character in the story, and yeah, I really don't have any bones to pick with it. I loved it. I loved the ending. I will say it had very much a happy ending. I keep seeing things that book 4 is confirmed. It's not, that she has said it's up in the air, but there are 4 houses, and I feel like a 4th book will be coming out, so I'm interested to see. I think it'd be cool if maybe she focused more on like Rune and Lydia, or on Ethan, or on one of the other kind of bigger characters, and Bryce and Hunt were more just side characters in the 4th book. Kind of like how in ACOTAR, Silver Flames is Nesta and Cassian's book, but Feyre and Rhys are still in the story. So I'm very interested to see what the 4th book will be, if there even is a 4th book. And if you guys are still here watching this video, I really appreciate you watching and coming along on this journey with me, and I hope you loved this book as much as I did. But leave a comment below if you were disappointed by it, or if you agree with me, or comment like your favorite moment from this book. I really do appreciate you if you watched this video. I've already started editing the rest of the video, and I know it's going to be a long one, but I really want to be able to include all my reactions and thoughts as I'm going through it. I know it's a long video, but thank you guys so much for watching. Also, leave a comment if you'd want to see more videos like this in the future, especially for like very highly anticipated releases. I had so much fun filming this and being able to pull my camera out whenever I had a shocking reaction, because I just felt like I was talking to you guys and sharing my thoughts. I would definitely be open to doing more videos like this in the future if that's something you guys would want to see. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because it would really help me out. And I've also linked my Instagram and TikTok in the description below if you'd be interested in following me on either of those platforms. I do post a lot of book content on TikTok. My Goodreads is also linked below if you want to add me on there. I also have a link with my code to MC Studios if you want to check out any of the Sarah J Maas universe. They just had a new drop actually, and it's really cute stuff. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye guys.